Well, hi, folks, and welcome into another edition of This Week in Pearl. I am your host, Frank Hutton, and we're going to have a great show for you today. Senator Dean Kirby is going to bring in freshman Senator Brian Rhodes. He represents District 36, which is about a J-hook of Rankin County and all of Smith County. So looking forward to having this conversation with him. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, you'll get to meet Senator Rhodes from District 36. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Hi, folks, and welcome back into This Week in Pearl, going under the dome today. Well, I'm joined by my guest, special guest, Senator Dean Kirby, who's brought in Senator Brian Rhodes. Welcome.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for asking.
Isn't it great?
I'm glad to be here.
You guys survived a special session.
Yeah.
You're here in the flesh.
Thank you, Lord.
You managed to make it.
Yes.
Was that a couple of days of just all night haggling and
just long
voting?
days. The Senate was there 2 days. The House went in one day and stayed until 1 o'clock in the morning and left. And we stayed till, 6:30 maybe first day and 6:30 the second day.
So we have a budget.
2 full days.
We have a budget.
We have a budget this year. May not be the one everybody wanted,
Oh, no.
but we have one.
Well, it's not what everyone wanted. And I'll just start off by saying this. I'm not trying to steal your show.
No, you're good.
But we've been given a lot of special projects and helping the cities and counties a lot.
Yes.
This year we didn't do that. We didn't do the special projects this year, and there was reasons for that. Reason being, we just gave a tax credit. We need to see how that affects us. But one of the main, and probably the main reason is, when we started in January, we didn't know what Trump was going to do, and now we found out some things. And a little bit of instability, I would think, in the economy right now. The unknown, I guess is what we could say. And with the unknown and not knowing exactly what the economy is going to be like this year, we thought, we might need to hold off and make sure that we have enough money to pay all the bills and all, which we have more money than we've ever had. I don't mind telling you. We've got like $1.7 million. $1 million. I believe it's $1 billion. I'm sorry. And $1.5 billion, and then in addition to that, we have $700 million in the rainy day fund. So we've got money, but I've been there long enough to go through the hard times, and I've been there when people would call and say, "My husband just lost his job because you guys didn't do yours before and planned for this," or "My wife just lost her job," or "The teachers can't get a pay raise."
Right.
Or "My mother's being kicked out of a nursing home," or "We can't get the medicine we need because of the cutbacks in Medicaid that you guys had to do." We're not planning on going through that again.
Right.
And we're being very conservative, very deliberate, and doing our due diligence and making sure before we go crazy spending all this money that the economy is stable.
I think you and I had that very discussion sitting at this table
Yes.
a couple months ago about shouldn't we just punt this a year?
Yes.
I think we talked about this exact thing.
We
And
did.
it ended up kind of that way, kind of. We still got the tax credit, but I was of the opinion of let's just punt the whole thing for what's going to hurt 1 year. And let's figure out what the federal's going to look like.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it's a little confusing right now as to what's going on in the federal government. We don't know what cuts are coming. We need to be very careful and protect the people as much as we can.
Yeah, agreed. So you introduce who you brought to us today.
Well, this is Brian Rhodes, our new senator. I say he's new. This is his second year. He just finished his second session. So, as I said earlier, he's still a freshman. You're a freshman for 4 years in the Senate, but he's a seasoned.
Yeah, they call you senator now. You're not just the rookie anymore.
That's
right.
He's not, and he's doing a great job. Brian has brought some things to the table that we needed. You know, years ago, believe it or not, the legislature was made up of two different factions, really. It was made up of farmers from the Delta, and the Delta was the strength of the state Senate, and attorneys.
Okay.
Now we still have the attorneys, but we don't have any farmers left. And we needed farmers. We needed someone, not just for Rankin County, but for our state. We needed someone in the agricultural business. And he has brought that to us and been a great asset to the state Senate. And we're just honored and happy to have Brian. And he's doing such a good job. And look, when he first came, I said, don't be shy about asking questions because all of this is going to be new and you're not going to understand it. So ask. And he does.
whatever he needs you to vote on, yes. Just make sure you do that.
No, he's got his own mind.
I was just playing.
But he does ask a lot, what does this mean type things.
Sure.
And which I'm more than honored. Actually, as President Pro Tem of the Senate, that's my job anyway.
Yes.
But I like Brian a lot, and I'd do it if I wasn't a Pro Tem.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Good to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir.
So you, as he alludes to, you are a farmer.
I am.
You raise chickens, cattle. Tell me.
Poultry and cattle. Chicken. We have chicken houses and cattle. So we keep about 250,000 chickens at a time, raise them for 8 weeks and turn them over, and in a couple more weeks we start over.
Okay.
So about 1.2 million a year is what we normally
Good golly.
is our chicken capacity.
Okay.
And then our cattle operation is a cow calf, just commercial cow calf. Nothing. It's not registered. It's just a black cattle. So.
Okay. So cow calf. What?
Well,
Help me out.
So we have the cows,
Uh-huh.
and we raise the calves up till they're weaning weight or weaning age, and
Okay.
then we sell them. We don't really have we're kind of maxed out on capacity, so we don't. Some people take them and wean them and feed them and grow them on out, but we,
You
about
don't.
500 pounds. We usually
So they're off to auction.
Right.
Basically, it's what we just had an auctioneer in here.
Oh yeah, Lance up here.
We had Lance, but they're off to auction after that.
That's right.
So it's chicken houses and cow calf. I get
That's
it.
right.
I get it. So nothing going to slaughter, nothing going to beef
We
production.
don't have any of that. Most of ours go to either an auction or a feedlot. So, and I mean they'll eventually be processed. but-
Sure, at some point. Okay, so third generation farmer, from what I understand.
Yes, sir.
Tell us how you grew up. Where are you from?
So I grew up 4 miles south of Pelahatchie in the Shiloh community.
Okay.
And everybody's familiar with Shiloh Road. Everybody doesn't know exactly where our Shiloh community is, but
Yep.
it's 4 miles, between 2 and 5 miles south, really, all that area. But grew up there. My grandfather and my dad, both my uncles even, all cattle and chicken farmers.
Okay.
So I've been around it my whole life. And I graduated from East Rankin Academy, and I went on to Mississippi State. After my third year in college, I got an opportunity to buy a farm. And so I ended up buying a farm, taking a semester off, came home, worked the farm, got it going. And then I was very blessed to have family, and my dad had a larger operation, or still does, but he had some employees I was able to hire kind of part-time.
So wait a minute now. You're a junior in Mississippi State.
Yep,
And you bought your first farm.
I did.
Wow.
I did.
Well, I just want to make sure we
right.
resonate. You were a junior at Mississippi State, and you bought your first farm. So you're what, 20?
I was 20. Wow. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And
Wow, that's impressive. Anyway, I'm sorry. I mean,
No, you're good.
I just for those that's serious. That's
So we
focused.
took a semester off.
Yeah.
My wife, who I've been Saturday, I think will be. Make sure I do this math right.
Better not mess this up.
Hey, don't mess this up.
17 years Saturday
Okay.
we'll have been married 17 years this coming Saturday.
Okay. Congratulations.
We had been dating when I bought the farm.
All right.
And we had gotten pretty serious. And I actually proposed. So it's really weird. She was getting ready to go to state, thinking she was coming up there where I was going to be.
Uh-huh.
And she ended up being a school teacher. But so she thought that I thought too at the time, whenever we were making all these plans, that she was coming up. We were going to both be in school together, and this was going to be great. But
Right.
worked out where I was buying a farm, moving home, and she was moving to Starkville. So we were
Y'all
swapping places.
Y'all traded.
And so I decided I better go on and put a ring on her finger before she moved up there, because I didn't want to have to worry about any competition.
Sure.
And so anyway, we got engaged the week after I bought the farm.
Wow.
We took a semester off, came home. Like I was telling you, my dad and my uncles and got a lot of family around. My dad and my brother in particular were able to help me a good bit for a semester. So I went back to school for a semester, and I would drive to school on Monday morning. I'd go to the chicken house in the morning, and I'd have to be in Starkville for an 8 o'clock class. And then Thursday at noon, I'd be out, and I would drive home, and I'd work Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, Sunday if I need to, and then Monday morning head back to school. So I did that for a semester. And I took like a year off, and then finally finished, commuted 2 days a week. But I finally finished in like 2009. I should have finished a little quicker, but I was working full time. And
Right.
so
Which is
so that's
impressive.
that is how we got started, and we just grew it from there. We started with 4 chicken houses, and now we've got 10. Wow. And didn't have any cattle or cattle ground, and now we've got about 90 commercial
So you
cattle.
had no cattle. It was chickens.
It was all
mainly.
chickens. So
And
chicken
so-
is our primary business.
Okay.
The cattle works good. I would say it works good with the chicken business. Don't get me wrong. There's people that make a living strictly out of cattle, but you got to have a lot of land. Like it takes lots of acreage to make a full-time living off
Does
just the cattle. So
How many head of cattle do you have?
about 90 mature cows.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how many. I'd have to count up the calves right now.
Sure.
We're still calving some. But the cattle works well with the chicken operation because it's all together, but you use chicken fertilizer, the chicken litter as fertilizer for the pasture. So we don't have fertilizer costs.
Right.
And so you're able to,
yeah, that's good.
and it's it's organic, you know, I guess, but it works really good. It grows grass. So, and you use some of the same equipment in the hay field, putting out hay. Is it some of the same type tractor equipment you would use in the chicken house? It just fits together.
Okay.
It's a lot of people that have chicken houses also have cattle.
That does make sense.
Rob, why don't you tell them where your district is exactly?
My district, I have got if you start on the west side of Rankin County, it starts at Richland. I've got Richland would kind of be the northern boundary. Goes just south of Pearl, have a little south Brandon. And then I go up north of the interstate in one area and have northeast Brandon and Pelahatchie. The Pelahatchie box goes north and south of I-20. And then everything south of that in Rankin County. And then I've got all of Smith County. So that is, I live on the southeast, not on the line, but 4 or 5 miles from the county line. So I live literally in the center of the district.
You
So
can
it works
see
really
You
well.
can see it from your house.
It's very close.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he has also, of course, he's included all of Smith County, but he has Puckett and Cato, and he comes around in Florence and goes up in Richland.
Right.
Coming from the guy who probably drew it.
I did.
He knows. He drew it.
I did. As a matter of fact.
Probably.
But yeah, it's kind of like a J in Rankin County,
Yep.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
his district,
That makes sense.
and then all of Smith County.
That makes sense.
And of course, we're
Yeah.
growing at such a rapid pace in Rankin County. I told him at the time the next census comes out and all, there's a good chance he will not have Smith County. If so, he'll have very little of it because his area is growing so fast.
That you may end up with just that.
Just Rankin County.
Just Rankin County.
So we, with Brian now and Josh, and myself, we have 3 senators,
wow.
which
That's
is
really
good.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. That we
it's good.
very
good for
well
Rankin.
represented. All right. So, what made you decide you wanted to be a senator?
Well,
Now you see how he turned out. He's been a senator for a few days.
Well, I hope that he doesn't follow my.
I figured that you see how he turned out. What made you decide you wanted to do this job?
You know,
Sounds like you were being very successful with chicken. You've been very successful with cattle. Life's going good. How many kids do you have, by the way?
I have 3.
Okay. What?
I've got a 10-year-old girl. Let's see. She's fixing to be 14. I've got a 13 and a 10-year-old girl
Uh-huh.
and a 7-year-old boy.
Okay.
So
And
full
they
time.
help on the farm.
They do some.
Okay.
And when we're not running after the sports, it's
Yeah.
Keeps
Yeah.
mom on
with
the road.
3 of
Yeah,
them. It
look,
keeps.
he has a beautiful wife and 3
Yeah.
sweet, pretty kids. And,
That's wonderful.
I do.
They're
So-
well behaved, and you can tell they have good parents.
So you wanted to be a senator? Why?
Well, so I guess I didn't ever really just start with a goal of being the senator. I got interested probably 10 years ago in politics and started following it a little bit. But prior to that, I had been involved because I'm an ag guy. I've been involved with the Cattlemen's Association, the Poultry Association, the National Resource Conservation Service, Farm Bureau, all these different ag organizations. I've been members, or I've been on the board on some of them, and I've been very involved. And it was very intriguing to me how they helped shape some policy and would push for certain policies that would really affect my business and affect farms and all your rural Mississippians especially. And I was just interested. And then at some point I got asked to serve on the Rankin County Republican Executive Committee in 2017 or 18. I'd have to go back and look. And I was even more in the middle of politics at that point. So I just got interested. And then I can't remember who told me that there was going to probably be a House seat to begin with in the new district or in the new maps. And so I was like, well, I was interested in running in the legislature, but I didn't know what I was doing. I actually went and I can't remember if I talked to you about the House at one time. I know I had lunch with Josh one time, was telling him that I had heard this.
We had lunch, but we talked about Senate only.
It may have been after we heard it swapped then.
Right.
Yeah.
But, and then about that, so I kind of really honestly thought I was going to be running for the House. I thought it was an open seat, and it's a lot smaller and been a whole lot easier to run.
Right.
And then around Christmas, I was at a gathering, and somebody walked up to me and told me that there's not going to be a new House seat, but it is going to be a Senate seat, and you live right in the center of it. And from that point on, my wife and I, we talked about it and prayed about it, and we just decided we thought we could do it and thought it would fit well with our, you pretty well need to be self-employed or retired just about to be able to.
That's a fact.
And we just felt like, as close as we live to Jackson, I mean, I can be at the Capitol in 30 minutes, that it would just be something that we could make work. And so far, it's worked out good.
Yeah,
And
2 years in.
2 years in, so far.
So far.
We had it through 2
Kids
sessions.
the kids are getting busier every day, though.
Of course they
So-
are. Right.
It's steadily changing, but so far we've made it pretty good.
And with your background, obviously, as Dean alluded to, we need more people that are in agriculture
Diverse.
serving in the legislature.
We do, and he's been a great asset for that. And then Andy Berry came in
Yeah.
at the same time, and Andy was over the Cattlemen's Association.
And y'all probably know each other really well.
I've known him for a long time.
Well, they're desk mates.
We're-
As a matter of
and we've been
fact,
friends.
How, we say, how does that work?
So when I was saying that 2015 or so, 10, 12 years ago, when I was first getting involved with all these different organizations, Andy, he's 10 years older than me,
Okay.
but Andy asked me to serve on some kind of young cattlemen's leadership committee, and we took a few little trips and learned a lot of stuff. But so I've been good friends with him ever since. And then we come in together, and we're both talking about running. And then when he gets ready to run, he's like, Brian, I don't think I'm gonna have an opponent. And I've been sitting here we're figuring out how we're gonna pay for this. Where's the strategy? How we're gonna do it?
Right.
And Andy ended up he didn't want to talk about it because he felt so guilty. Me and him were friends. And he was like, I just can't even talk about it. He said, I shouldn't have got to do this easy. But
Right.
but he's a good guy though. He deserves a spot.
So y'all are desk mates, sit right next to each other.
Yes, sir.
How does that work out?
Good.
Both being basically freshmen.
Well, so typically, the longer you've been there, the further towards the back you sit. So,
Yes.
so the freshmen are pretty much at the front.
You're on
anyway.
the front row.
Yeah. So we just sit together. I think we
He's
So
moving
Senator,
on, not
Senator
moving
Kirby,
on up, but he's moving on
I
back.
was gonna
Moving
say
back.
Senator Kirby there can look right down and see there,
oh yeah, like when I'm right there, front row.
front row, where you need to be when you're in school, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's probably a good spot to be as a freshman, honestly.
Well, and I started
Pay
out up
attention
front
better,
as well.
probably.
Yeah, that does make some sense. So second term in, and we cannot talk just this last one, but even the first one. So tell me some of the biggest surprises that you had no idea. What was one of the things that you went home and you told your wife, you're not going to believe this. This is something that you did do. What's one of those big surprises or something that really stuck with you after you first got there?
Talking about this year or any of the first 2 years?
Any of them.
I don't even know. Like it's such a different world. I don't even. I'm trying to think of how
You
to
alluded to
single
Andy
something.
found all the
Can
bathrooms.
I tell
Yeah,
you what
like-
mine was while he's thinking about
Sure.
it? Mine was the fact, and I may have said this before, when I went to the Senate, not having a clue what I was going to be doing, I thought I did, but I didn't. But anyway, I thought, I've read the paper, I've seen the news, I've heard people talk. I am not going to fit in with those people. I am not, because I don't agree with all this stuff I'm hearing.
Right.
And then when I got there and I met some of the nicest people and some of the best friends I have today,
Yeah, to this day. Right.
and they were so honest and everything. And I found out that everything is based on honesty and integrity. If you tell someone you're going to do something, then you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really shocked. And then after a while, it suddenly dawned on me a couple things. The reason some of these people vote the way they do is because their district feels that way. Now, my district may not feel that way, and I'm not going to agree with them because I'm representing these people. But that doesn't mean they're bad guys.
Right.
Matter of fact, they're doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
But it just really, really shocked me how the integrity and the honesty that the people had. It wasn't anything like what I was led to believe.
Sure.
If you tell someone, if I tell you I'm going to vote for that, then I'm voting for it.
Right.
And nothing can change my mind. And then if I find out, wait a minute, all my folks in my district don't feel that way, then I have to come to you and say, look, I know I told you that I would vote for it, but I'm letting you know now that I'm not going to vote for that, and here's the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's no problem.
Sure. Because your constituents.
But if I
don't want you to vote
blindside
right.
you and you go to the
Right.
podium with that bill thinking that you have enough to pass it,
Yeah.
and I voted for it even in committee, and then I vote against that bill, then you're not going to like me. And I haven't kept my word.
Right.
And I don't have your trust ever again.
That's the
Ever.
biggest.
No matter
that's the
how many
biggest
years
thing,
or
isn't
how
it?
many bills.
It is.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you could you up there as an example, a lobbyist could lie to him one time, and before dark, every legislator, all 174, counting the 122 in the House, all 174 will know that lobbyist lied to Brian
Right.
Rhodes.
And we'll never be a lobbyist on the Hill again.
Well, he's short-lived after
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Would never. Right. Right. And that's the way it
Well, I
should
don't
be.
say short-lived. Short-lived as a lobbyist.
As a lobbyist. That's right.
Yeah.
But that's the way it should be, right?
That's
This
right.
is in Washington. Now, we don't do things like they do there, but I mean, but you'll never trust that person
No.
again.
And I think that carries over. I was raised that way. My grandfather
Yes.
raised me that way. If
Yeah,
you shake on
but
it,
if you-
make a handshake deal and you tell somebody you're going to do something,
Well,
That's
you
right.
follow
Frank,
through with it regardless.
Frank, I realized also after about a year or so
Mm-hmm.
that all those people that were elected, there was a reason they got elected.
Right.
They went to school with their constituents. They go to church with their constituents. They're in the Kiwanis or the
Their constituents
Rotary
know
or
who they
whatever.
are.
They know that person.
Sure.
So, and if that person lets them down, then they get rid of them.
Right.
But, and they should.
And they should. Totally agree. And so now we have Brian,
We have Brian.
representing
That's
the
right.
J Hook of
And I
Rankin
think
County and
he
all of Smith
he
County.
will agree with me, I
Yeah.
would think, on the integrity
Definitely.
and the honesty that
Right.
you have to have
Well,
if you're going to.
It's the same way you can't
be
be
effective.
successful in business if you're not
That's right.
honest and straightforward and upfront.
Well, if you
Absolutely.
have to be effective there.
Right. You have to be. The ones that aren't honest, they may get ahead quick, but
Yeah,
in a
catch
period
up
of
with
time
them.
it's over.
they're
That's
gone.
right.
They're gone. They're a flash in the
That's right.
pan. As my grandmama used to say,
Yep.
there'll be a flash in the pan.
Well, I had
Here
no
today
doubt
and
that's
gone
true.
tomorrow.
That's right.
Flash in the pan. Okay, so did you decide what was the biggest?
All right, so I've got two.
Okay.
One, we talked about it a little bit earlier, I think, before the show started. You watch the news and you follow politics a little bit, and then when it starts to become realistic that you're actually going to be up there reading some of these bills and looking into some of this stuff, and you always hear this bill is 300 pages long, or that bill is several hundred pages long, and that always I was always curious about how is this going to really work? How are we going to be expected to really know what's in this? And like we were talking about, it's most of the time, like there are some new bills that have a ton of new language that you have to read, but a lot of the bills just have a couple of changes in some existing code section. I drafted a bill last year. It was the first bill that I got that they brought to me that whenever it was done, it was stapled together and it was 200 or 300 pages. But all it did was change one word in about 25 different places in the code section. And so literally one word. It may have been two words.
Okay.
I'd have to look at it.
Right.
But very, very minor change. Mm-hmm. But it was a stack that thick. And if somebody threw that to you and said, you need to approve this bill or not, I mean, I would have panicked to start with. And then you learn a lot. The other thing is, so I grew up, south of Pelahatchie out in the country, very, very red Republican, rural conservative values.
Right. God-fearing,
If
gun-toting, right?
Republicans.
Yeah.
And if I knew Democrats growing up, I didn't know I knew. I just assumed we were all Republican. Mm-hmm. And the news will paint a picture that makes you think that they're your enemies.
Right.
And, that's what I told somebody the other day. I said, I don't think I've ever had a Democrat friend until I moved, into that new job in Jackson. And, we get along. You don't have to agree on everything. I got a friend of mine sits right beside me, came in the same time as me. Not Andy. He's a Republican.
Sure.
And he'll ask me, he'll pick at me, say, come on, vote with me on this. And I say, I can't vote with you on this. And then sometimes I'll mess with him and say, I need your vote. I need you to help me on this. And he said, I can't do that. I'll get in trouble at home if I vote for that. But we're friends. We just don't agree on a lot of the same things. So it's not as divisive as what you'll be led to believe on the national level, in my opinion.
That's
So
right.
that was a big surprise to you?
Well, I just didn't know. So it was a surprise because you don't know but what you see. And so many people go off, a lot of controversies that are going on, everybody's going off of sound bites, just one little snip, and they don't have any idea what's going on.
No, there's no context.
Right. And so you don't know until you've been in the middle of it. And that was refreshing. And I've enjoyed getting to know a lot of them. Work together with a lot of them on some different issues. So,
Would you also say it's aggravating because the news media doesn't portray it correctly?
Sometimes.
Well,
And then it
the
leads you
thing-
to defend it
Yeah.
or explain it?
The thing that freshmen often get caught in a trap, and that trap is you go out in your campaign and people ask you about a certain issue and you say, I'm against that and I'm not. If you vote for me, I'm not going to vote for it. Well, then that bill comes up and it's amended. And it doesn't really do what these people were against.
Right.
But you gave your word that you wasn't going to vote for that.
Yep.
And now it's actually good for them.
Yep.
If you vote for it, they say, well, he voted for that and he told me he was going to vote against it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know
Yeah.
that it changed to actually help them. So
Right.
you get caught in that trap and you don't know how to explain it. So you just
Come
got
on
to do
shows
what you
like
think's
this.
right and best for the people.
You come on shows like this and explain it.
There you go.
Isn't that what we do?
We do. We often explain our votes here.
We explain our votes here. That's what we do.
Okay.
All right. So 2 years in, what would be something that sticks out that you're most proud of 2 years in? One thing that you can look back and say, hey, I'm a freshman, but hey, I'm real proud of what we accomplished right here. Anything.
The one that's just the freshest on my mind is last year in July, we started hearing about a lot of property tax issues in the rural level, like the rural communities. I can't explain exactly why it was done the way it was done, but the way the Department of Revenue updates a manual every 10 years. And that manual is then passed out to the county tax assessors, and that's their set of guidelines. And now they have some discretion, but it's kind of seemed like they don't know exactly how much discretion they have. So you don't want to go too far. I mean, if you fudge on it too much, you deemed out of compliance, and your county runs the risk of losing homestead exemption. Mm-hmm. But some of these farm properties went from whatever they were charging per square foot or however they were, rural structures is what they were. Some of them were going up 50%, some of them were going up 106%, some of them were going up 30 to 50% on tax valuation. So the taxes weren't going up, but the value of what they're saying these properties were, some of them being 30 and 40 years old, it should have been probably, shouldn't be depreciated completely out because you're still using them, but I guess. But that's up for debate with me. But,
There's the debate right there.
yeah.
Right.
But so we worked from July last year up until March to try to get a bill passed to fix basically all your ag structures that were already in place. Because just because we have inflation and it costs 3 times what it does to put a new roof on a hay barn or a chicken house or build a grain bin, that doesn't mean that yours is 30 years old, it's about worn out, should be taxed like a brand new one.
Right.
Anyway, so we worked on that for a long time. It ended up being a House bill instead of my Senate bill, but we did
all the work.
We
You
did
did all the work.
we
He
worked
did.
through it, and I was very proud to see that should give some farmers relief all over the state, and
And that was this year.
that was just this past year.
Okay.
So I'm very proud of that, even though, like I said, my name's not on it, but we
But everyone knows it was your bill.
Well.
that did it.
that
How
would
did it end up in the House? Well,
That
Well-
happens often.
Well, what we did is I had my bill, and then I had a friend in the house draft the exact same version, and that way we both, and he had been with us working on it too, but he drafted one, I drafted one, and then we both passed them out of the House and the Senate, and then swapped the ends, and then at that point you start,
But he didn't.
somebody decides,
He didn't bird dog it like you did. You went to every meeting. You talked to everyone you should talk to get the bill passed. He did all the groundwork. He poured the foundation. For
I
that
got
bill.
it. But the House bill is the one that ended up
Yeah.
surviving.
Oh, that's
Well-
that's,
Right.
and we all it happens.
It does.
Sometimes chairman will have they'll have duplicate bills with the House.
and honestly, I think it was my decision. Like I talked to Josh, the chairman of Josh
Well, you
Harkins.
said it was too important to,
I did.
to argue over.
So they had our bill and we had theirs. They had already passed theirs, which was word for word the same bill that we had written.
I did right. They were
So
right.
it was sitting in our finance committee, and so I went to Chairman Harkins and just asked him, and instead of arguing about why we should pass this one or that one, or I don't want to get into trying to horse trade with anything. I said this is too important. We don't need to let it die.
They've already passed it. Do it. Yeah.
Yes, and I said I know I got the votes down here because we passed it 50-1. So if we can just take the House bill and roll it out of committee, it'll pass, and it unanimously passed the second time when we rolled it through.
That's
So
a
it
statesman.
was done.
That's the statesman that does
that's right. That's
it is. Rather than argue over who's
that's putting constituents and farmers and Mississippians over your own personal name on a bill.
that's
Well,
right.
It was
Which
that's-
is good.
But we're also talking about a man who bought his first farm at 20
Yeah.
while he was a junior at Mississippi State.
But he's already learned. He's already learned, and I think Reagan said this actually. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't want to take all the credit.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you let someone else take
Yeah.
the credit, a lot of
That's-
times you can get
that's
things
humility.
done. And he's already learned
Your mama
that.
taught you well, raised you in church.
they did.
That's
They did.
that's humility.
I probably wouldn't have even told you about that one had you not asked me. Because, and honestly, at this point,
But
it's
that was
okay
your
that my
pride.
name's not on it. Some of the tax assessors are not very happy about it, so they're having to redo all of it
Well,
again.
they'll
So,
get over it.
well-
they can get glad in the same pants, right?
That's right.
They can get glad in the same pants.
but
But that's good. All right. So pivoting from that,
okay,
let's talk about something that we were discussing a little bit before we started airing, and this is just because you're on the agriculture committee. I appreciate our farm. I mean, my family, half my family comes from, Taylorsville, Soso, and those areas down in McGee and Summerland and all that in that area. Half of my family comes from
okay,
chicken farmers, cattle farmers, farmers that would raise soybeans and cotton and all kind of stuff down there, even timber.
Yeah.
So half of my family does that. The other half of my family actually were more into either horse trading or a car salesman, or I've had a few engineers in the family on the backside. So I'm kind of split, but I love farmers. I think it's fantastic, what you do, and I'm always captivated by what you do. But one of the things that I could see, and I want your opinion on this, is I'm real big on trying to buy local. I want to keep our dollars here. I want to see our farmers prosper. But I also want to be able to have more controls on what I put in my body in terms of food and where it
Right.
comes from and what it's sprayed with and all of these things that are, now that, Kennedy is really exposing a lot of things, in our health. What is your take on trying to get us more towards a more localized beef economy and a more localized, back kind of like when I grew up, to a farmer's market where you would literally drive over to the farmer's market and there would be hundreds of farmers that would be. What's your take on that?
On how to get it back?
Yeah, or what's your opinion?
Oh, I think it would be great if you have those opportunities. I think it's very hard for a meat packer to stay in business, probably in Mississippi. I think you could kill a lot of the cattle and might run out pretty quick if you were going to try to keep one in business. So the people that I know that are doing like the local stuff, they've got like a private, not a private, a contracted butcher that they'll raise them and then they'll take them and they'll sell half a calf or half a cow, half a quarter. They'll sell packages of steaks and burger meat and things like that. So I think that's great. I had a friend that did it for a long time. He's moved now, but and we bought some of his meat. I think it's great to have options.
I guess I want to know, how do we grow that and foster that? How do we make that more of a reality? Because with Walmart's, Target's, Kroger's, Publix, everything is consolidated into big box.
It is.
How do we break that out and make it more competitive so that the local guy that's raising cattle, chicken, can actually make a living doing it instead of having to go through big box? This is just frank. Maybe it's pie in the sky. Maybe that days are never coming back. But I would much rather have my beef from Rankin County than my beef from Mexico that's mixed with 1,300 other cattle when they blend it all together. I mean, that's just Frank's opinion.
I agree.
Is that possible, or is that pie in the sky?
I'm not going to say it's not possible. It's like anything else. That kind of would be in what you would call maybe a niche market, because you're going to have to be willing to pay for it. I mean, it's just going to cost more. You can't operate as cheap as these big, as your big meat packers. So,
because sheer volume.
So you can try it, but you got to have a clientele that's willing to pay for it to get it there, because you just can't. I mean, you can't do it for free. So, I don't know. I hadn't give that a whole lot of thought. So you got me puzzled a little bit.
Well, you have people that like co-op farms where you can go in and buy.
Oh, I got friends that do it now. Yeah,
right. You can go in and buy part of a cow.
Right.
And then you get your cut out of it. And I mean, I know that's a possibility, right?
Yeah, that's happening all over now. And just as far as moving everything to that model.
Or just adding that model to it.
Yeah, it's here. It's here. I mean, I've got 2 or 3 different friends in different counties, just local, around here, that are raising them, and you'll just see them put it on Facebook. Got so many whole left. Do you want a whole, a half, a quarter? Do you want steaks and burger meat? Do you want this kind of package or that kind of package? So there's just people doing it now.
Maybe I'm just asking for a simpler time to return.
Maybe.
Back in the day when you go down to the butcher and get stuff, and you go to the farmer's market and get it. I remember those days as a kid, and it just seemed we were healthier, then, instead of what we're having today.
And as I said earlier, too, there are a lot of people still go to the farmer's market on the fairgrounds there. And buy their vegetables.
Right, and luckily here we have Doris Berries right down the street.
That's right.
Where you can get local produce as well.
Grown.
But not meat products. You don't find the poultry. You don't find unless you find a co-op farm or something like that. I was just thinking, here again, this is some Reagan stuff. But if you want to increase something, you reduce taxes on it. Yeah. If you want to eliminate something, you increase taxes on it.
That's right.
So I was thinking, is there some way that we could stimulate it to where you would have more local cattle producers like yourself that would make it more profitable or would add to the business to allow us to grow more of our meat products and sell them directly to the public? Is that possible, or is it pie in the sky? We can't solve it today, but I mean, I just wanted to get your opinion on kind of what your thoughts would be on even trying to even make that a reality. Is that doable, or do you just see that that's probably not ever coming back in that way? There's going to be
I don't know what else you can do other than like, so right now, before I got elected, I served on the Mississippi Land, Water, and Timber Resources Board, and they have a pot of money that are there for grants for this type of stuff. So we've got somebody in Mississippi that's bottling Mississippi spring water that helped get some startup cost money from that group. We've got some farm to table beef operations that have tried to increase, and they started and they're only say they were going to kill 50 or 100 or however many, and they've increased operation and added a few more jobs. We got people that are growing. Have you ever heard of Salad Days, the brand? That's I think I could be wrong.
Salad. No, I don't think so.
I can't remember if they're out of Florida. I can't remember. It was a lot of them we looked at, but so there are some startup costs. There's grants. Most of the time, those things are done in a form of a grant and a loan. It was like, and I think it was like 60-40 for loan and then 40% grant or something whenever I was on it. I can't remember exactly how they do it, but I don't know what else you can do. I mean, that looks like that would be, I don't think it may not have been funded this year. But
That's a state funded.
It is a state funded.
Okay.
And so
we cut a lot this year.
We-
We
yeah.
pretty much stayed stable.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, or what we call flat. This
I mean,
year.
that sounds like a program that has promise. That
well,
can
it
be maybe-
encourages what you're wanting or what
maybe
you're interested
expanded
in.
upon or tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we did that this year or not.
I can't remember if that was in
Yeah,
there. or
we've been
not.
doing it in the past, so more than likely we did.
But that would make a lot of sense. Have grants to help producers like yourself.
And it was low. It was real low interest loans compared to whatever. I mean, I can't remember
Because
what
it's
they
from
were.
the state, obviously.
Right.
Right.
And it was to encourage local produce, local, everything. So that, I don't know what else you do other than that, because you already have some, as far as the state, our income taxes are coming down. You've already got, you got your ag exemptions on a lot of things. So I don't know what else you do to encourage it.
All right. Well, this leads me right into my next question. I got one more after this one. Where is the state of Mississippi's agriculture? Because, at the moment, the world is changing so much to digital and AI. And where are we today in Mississippi's agricultural world? Is it thriving? Is it growing? Are there more Bryan roads out there, or is it shrinking? Which one? Or am I just drawing the conclusion?
As a whole, so it's different industries are different.
Sure.
So, I know, like for the poultry business that I'm in, it's gotten, you used to see a lot of 4-house farms, like, family have a 4-house farm here and another family and you live out of those. And, it's gotten to be a really volume driven deal now, where everything's going up. I mean, and and the expenses a lot of times outpace the pay. So, volume has gotten to be more. So you're probably keeping the volume, probably not much different, but it's more consolidated to people. Like our number of, I'm trying to remember the numbers. I wish I did.
No, that's okay.
I think we have like 2% of the country that feeds the rest of the country.
Sure.
I mean, something like that.
Yeah.
It's close to that. Maybe
Right.
1% now.
Right.
And the average age of a farmer, I think, is in low 60s across the country. That's not just the state, but that's the country. So I do think that the number, but our farmers have become much more efficient over the years, to where now a lot of that does have to do with the sprays and the chemicals and things that they use, and
Sure.
the technologies and the hybrids and all the different things.
I mean, you got tractors driving themselves with GPS, out in the fields. I mean,
Oh, you've got spray rigs that have cameras on them that will identify a weed and spray that one boom
I
nozzle
know,
to spray that one weed as you're driving
That's
over. I mean,
insane.
it's the technology is amazing.
Yes.
And I can't imagine what it's going to be like 5 years from now with AI. Like you said, I don't even know what the possibility is going to be
Right.
with AI.
Elon's going to have Optimus out there driving on the tractor, picking the peas out of the field. Anyway, yeah. But I'm just trying to get a general idea of kind of where we're headed. Where you see where we're going. I mean, and you are right. I mean, it's 1-2% that feeds the entire country.
And the world,
And the
really.
world, really.
We that's American agriculture feeds the world.
Yes.
So.
But I mean, are we healthy? Or does it look good down the road? Or
If you have cattle to sell, cattle is really high. Like, they are really high right now. It's probably the best time it's ever been to sell. Now, if you're trying to get in it, it's not a good time.
right.
The row crop guys have been hurting. The markets has not been as good to them.
Yeah, I think I heard we have, 850,000 head of cattle in Mississippi, just Mississippi.
Wow.
I
That seems
believe
like a
it's-
big
I can't
number.
remember.
It's a big number.
That seems like a big number. 850,000 head of cattle.
Yeah.
That's a big
We
number.
got some big cattle farmers, though.
We do.
We got
Like
some near you.
I've got 2 or 3 friends that run 40 to 50,000 head a year each.
Wow.
But now they make a living off cattle.
Well, yeah, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that is their job.
Good golly. 40 or 50,000 head of
That's a
cattle.
lot.
So when you get close to 1 billion head of cattle in the state, we're in the cattle business in this state.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's crazy. I did not realize.
Yeah.
So
We only got 3 billion people.
Right. Any idea on chicken houses?
You know, that's one I should know.
Not to put you on the spot.
I had a
Brian.
whole
Would you
list
like me
of
to look
all
it
of them.
up?
I've got a printout that shows all the poultry numbers.
Just
I
take
didn't
a
know
stab at it.
Nah,
Is it a lot? I mean, is it
there's 165 active farms just with the company that I grow with.
okay?
I raise for Cook Foods.
Okay.
And I'm going to say on average, it's going to be, let's just say 5 houses per farm average. So that's what 800 chicken houses for, and they all going, average going to hold 20,000 a piece.
That's
And that's just one farm.
That's another astronomical number.
So that's just one company.
yeah.
And so you've also got,
Sanderson,
yeah, Tyson, Amick.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of them.
How many chickens
Pico.
do you lose, if you don't mind me
No, how
asking,
many chicken? Yeah, right.
in a house?
I'd love for its livability to be about 97, 96, 97%. But normally, as long as it's 95% or better, you've done pretty well.
Okay.
And sometimes
More
it's,
than I expected.
what, more
more
mortality?
survive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
than
The
I
livability is, that then that
Less
can
mortality.
change. That can change.
Now these houses have come a long way.
They have.
They're really autonomous unto themselves, right? I mean, they have conveyor belts in there, and
Well, no, we raise broilers, which are meat chickens. So we don't have any belts. We've just got feeders and feeders and water lines.
you're
and-
raising them to the table.
That's right. They go to process the night they catch them.
I got you.
So
So these chicken houses, though, I mean, they're pretty sophisticated.
they
You're talking
are.
about
I
technology.
can grab my phone and pull up and shut. So we basically have a computer. We have what they call a control room at every house.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go into the house, you can enter this room, and it's where all your breakers, your electrical, your water, and it's separated from the house. I mean, it's attached, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's clean in there versus inside the chicken house. It's different. But every one of those controllers are either hardwired or wirelessly connected to each other, and all go back to one main alarm system.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the technology 2 or 3 years ago changed to where we could get an app on our phone if we were able to get internet. So we got the internet put down there, and it's amazing. I can pull it up on my phone. I can show you the temperature in every house. I can tell you how many gallons of water each house has drank today. I can tell you how many fans are running. I can turn more fans on if it's too hot. You can do, if it's on that controller, on that computer inside that room, and all of your switches are in automatic, you can program that thing from your phone, from anywhere in the world.
From anywhere, right?
It's
Isn't that
amazing.
That's amazing.
It changes, that really changes your lifestyle. Hope we don't get a little bit too lax,
yeah.
but I remember a few years ago when I was baling hay, and I'd get an alarm on my phone, and it would say high temperature in the middle of July, and you just freak out and have to jump off the tractor and run down there. Yeah. And it could be something as simple as, well, I had my high temperature settings lower in the cooler part of the year and forgot to set that house or raise it up. Mm-hmm. Now, if something calls, I can look at it and say, okay, nothing to worry about here. They're all the same. Or I can change it.
The quality of life has changed.
It really, it changes your, quality of life. That's a good way to put it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Technology.
I've learned a lot already.
I have too.
Of things that I just didn't realize, things I didn't know.
Well,
all right,
good.
so what's the future for you? What do you see down the road? You ready for governorship now? I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. I find it refreshing though that you brought Brian in. That's a really cool story. That you said your dad's in it, got uncles that are in it.
My brother's in it now.
Your brother's in it now. So y'all all have your own individual farm. Now, are y'all close to each other?
So my dad and my uncles, my grandfather, all live on one road that's probably 2 miles long.
Road.
I live about 2 miles from there on a different road. So all of mine are it's totally separate from theirs.
Okay.
Now theirs are all separate from each other. They're just
Sure.
on the same road.
I got it. Road.
I want to say we had, well, my dad sold 5 of his, but I think we had 52 houses between us. Wow. Until last year when he
Between
sold.
everybody
Between
in the
the
family.
4 of us in the family, yeah.
52 houses.
Yep.
Good God.
A lot of chickens.
So I've probably eaten a lot of chicken from your house.
Very possible.
I eat a lot of chicken.
It's possible.
That's insane. This has been great. Thank you for bringing him in.
Well, it's different from the normal show, I can tell you. But I thought people needed to get to know Brian and who's representing him up there, the ones that don't know him, and he'll get to be well known the longer he's there. So
No, and I'm just
he's
messing
doing
about
a great job. He
Yeah.
works hard. He works. I'm telling you, the people of his district number, what is it?
36.
36.
They're getting their money's worth out of Brian Rhodes.
Well, I would agree. Great.
I've had a lot of good help. And when he said, come ask questions anytime, I don't know. He might be ready to take that back.
No,
I ask a lot of questions.
Well, that's how we learn, right?
That's right.
That's how we learn.
Yeah.
I ask a lot of questions too, sitting on this side of the desk. And
Yeah, that's true.
this is how we learn. I ask a lot of questions of him too. Some he doesn't necessarily want to answer.
Right.
We need to reverse this one time and start asking him questions.
Okay, fire away. You get one. All right. Well, thank you very much
Yes, sir.
for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to come see us, and thank you
You're
for
welcome.
for bringing him in. It's been a great
Honored to
conversation.
do so.
Yeah, great conversation. Thank you very much. So y'all don't run off. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on this week in Pearl. So stay right there. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here, you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back into This Week in Pearl. Really learned a lot right there from freshman Senator Brian Rhodes. So thankful that Senator Kirby brought him in so that we could meet him, get to know him. You know, his district just is a little south of Pearl, kind of hooks around and goes up to Pelahatchie and on over that way, and then all down into Smith County. So it was great learning about him and his family, and I was really impressed that he bought his own farm as junior at Mississippi State. That's pretty impressive. Anyway, all right, so what's going on in Pearl? Upcoming events. Well, I'm reading them for the first time with you guys. Football and cheer registration. Wow, can you believe this? Football and cheer registration has begun. Registration is going on until June 30th. You can visit pearlparksandrec.com. That's pearlparksandrec.com and click on register, and you can get your child registered for football or cheer. They say spots are limited for both football and cheer, so get registered early. If you have questions, you may contact the Pearl Parks. Contact Pearl Parks and Recreation for more information. Their main number is 601-932-3541. Also in full swing right now, that's been going gangbusters on every Friday night, is Main Street Pearl's Midtown Sunset Concert Series. That's going on. It's a wonderful crowd this past week where they had their free concert. But this coming up Friday, June 6th, Good Hope will perform at 7 p.m. in the green space out here behind City Hall. That will be Good Hope. Concessions are available. Bring your lawn chairs because it is outside. But it's a wonderful free concert, so be sure and catch that if you're looking for something to do on a Friday night. And then also, Mud Monsters baseball season still going on. You can catch a game in the swamp over there at Trustmark Park. Visit mudmonstersbaseball.com for more information, schedules, tickets, etc. Anyway, thanks again to Senator Dean Kirby for bringing in Senator Brian Rhodes. Fantastic conversation with him. It was really eye-opening. Really enjoyed getting to know him, and then, of course, about the agriculture industry in general. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Until next time, I'll see you next week.